This is The Hub.
Welcome to The Hub. My name is Mucheru, and today we're going to look at the upcoming elections and the registration process. As you know, a month-long mass voter registration exercise has kicked off.
I have not yet planned to go and register as a voter, but with time I'm going to think whether I'm going to register as a voter. But I'm taking time to think.
Why would you want to think fast?
Because according to the way things are moving in this country, now I need to have time to think whether I have to retain this government or not.
I'm not yet planning to do so, because I've not yet had anyone with good things to say to me. I need someone to convince me more.
I already registered as a voter during the last general election, so the remaining bit is about to go and check my details if what I registered is what in the IEBC. Yeah, and I'm planning within the course of this week. Actually, it's not a matter of wasting time. We are Kenyans of the last minute rush. I don't want that. Yeah, this week actually I'm going to confirm my details.
Here is the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC Chief Executive Officer Ezra Chiloba.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC wishes to announce to the public that it will conduct a 30-day countrywide mass voter registration drive from Monday 16th January to Tuesday 14th February 2017. This will be the last registration campaign before the August 8th 2017 elections. It should be recognized that the Constitution gives every Kenyan the right to participate in political processes. Registering to vote is one way through which this right may be realized, and that's why the IEBC is availing another opportunity for eligible Kenyans to register to vote in the upcoming general elections. What are the requirements for registration? For one to be registered as a voter, he or she must be a Kenyan of 18 years of age and above, have an original national identification card or a valid Kenyan passport, and they must present themselves physically at the registration center of their choice. We also want to notify that registration will be done by capturing biometric and alphanumeric data of the applicant. The biometric enrollment will involve the capturing of the fingerprints.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC Chief Executive Officer Ezra Chiloba. How is Kenya doing in terms of digitizing the voter registration and voting process?
Kennedy Waitueka Kehara. I work in the Office of the President as a Principal Administrative Secretary. My responsibilities include national security and policy analysis. I think in the course of time we'll register online, but I think this is a small economy. We are progressing, and we are ahead of many of our peers in this field. Mm-hmm. So I think the millennials who would want to register online may just be lazy. They don't want to walk to the polling center and have their biometrics captured. But I think it's a matter of time before we get there.
Okay, on the same note, are there any policies that have changed in the electoral process, or are we looking at any other new policies that are coming up?
I'll not speak authoritatively on that subject because there is IEBC, which is mandated by the Constitution to oversee, is our electoral management body. And therefore, they are the authority on this matter. However, what I would want to say is that policies answer to human needs. There will be a human need that will be identified as we vote this time. At one point, we were very, very concerned about the way we were capturing people to populate the voters register. And we chose in 2013 to go biometric. Many Kenyans may have forgotten that before then, it was manual, completely manual. So I think as we progress, we'll identify other issues that we must deal with. And as our population gets more literate, more sophisticated, as our economy gets bigger and we are able to afford all those manner of new technologies, I think that's where we are going.
Let's analyze why are young people maybe not interested in voting or registering. Like they're just there and they're told to go and vote and register, and Somehow they're just aloof. What's your thought?
My name is Gunjiri Wambugo. I'm a political analyst. The best way to answer that question is to first explain that the dynamics in which young people are living in. And what tends to happen is that when you're young, you have your sense of responsibility tends to be not as complete as it should be, because the whole idea of voting is a responsibility. Most people haven't understood exactly how much of a responsibility voting is, because when you vote, you're actually determining the governance structures of your country, you're determining the leadership structures of your country, and the country is defined by its leaders. So one of the things that, instead of asking why young people are not getting as involved, is that the older people need to spend a lot of time talking to young people to actually understand why voting and getting involved in just having some political awareness of what's happening in your country is important. Because what we see now is a lot of young people who have absolutely no clue about what's going on. A lot of them have no idea who their MCA is. Most of them most probably don't even know who their MP or women. You'll find that most of them most probably just know the president and people in the opposition. And that is a problem in a country where over 60% of our population is young.
You are listening to The Hub. Let's now take a short break.
The Hub. Your number one radio. KBC English Service.
Welcome back. This is The Hub. My name is Carol Mucheru. We are looking at the upcoming elections and the registration process, which has already kicked off. Can Kenyans be compelled to vote? Maybe we can start with you. Is that a good idea? Like Australia compels their voters to vote. Can Kenyans go there?
I think democracy, even not voting is actually voting. And I think it would be, it's not democratic to actually force people to get out and vote. You expect that the people who will actually get out and vote are the people who understand that you're voting for something, towards something. But it's also important for people to understand that not voting is actually voting, because what you have done is made a decision not to vote for any of the people who are actually running. Maybe if somebody else had been running, you'd have voted for them. And unfortunately, when you choose not to vote, then you have actually you absconded a responsibility of being able to speak to what happens after that. And that's why I admit people, if you didn't vote, you have absolutely no right to complain about how the country is running, because you actually absconded the responsibility. So you said, for the next 5 years, I will not be involved in how this country is governed. So that's the decision you make by not voting. So you can't really compel people to actually get out and vote. But I think it is, if you have a sense of responsibility and you're interested in where your country is going, then you have an obligation to actually go out and vote.
Mm-hmm. And not voting means you've chosen any other leader.
Actually, you just refused. Yeah. It's refusing to decide.
Yeah.
And by refusing to decide, you've decided in the worst possible way. Yeah. So,
your thoughts on that?
I would want to agree with my colleague that if you criminalize the choice to vote, then you'll be infringing on the freedom of the individual citizen of this country. And therefore, my take would be that all you can do is to encourage and to create a favorable environment to vote. Because if the environment is not favorable, if there is violence, if there is hooliganism, then people may turn away from voting, not because they didn't want to, but because the environment. So I think the responsibility of creating that environment lies on the government and other civic entities. But the choice, the ultimate choice, is you as an individual. Mm-hmm. And I would still want to agree with my colleague that not voting is voting for the person you didn't like. You have 5 years of a government that you never participated in creating.
So why should you register as a voter? Registering as a voter gives you an opportunity to vote and elect leaders of choice. Registering allows you to vie for any elective position. Registering as a voter allows you to propose or second your preferred candidate for nomination. Registering as a voter also gives you the right to nominate candidates for elections. Registering will give you, as a voter, the moral authority to hold leaders accountable. That was The Hub for today. Join us again next Tuesday. I'm Carol Mucheru.
You are listening to The Hub.